This is how to make an AI mortar that will detect and predict where the player is going to be by the time the mortar shell lands there, so it can shoot exactly where the player is going to be, so it can hit them perfectly like you just saw there. As you can see, it knows where I'm going to be based upon my speed. It shoots, so it hits me. Obviously, I can move out of the way because I can see the target of where it's going to land, so I can run away and go the opposite direction so it can't hit me. And then the next time it shoots, it's going to update to be in the new position to make sure it actually does hit me. And if I'm not moving, you can see it's just going to go here as well. Now visually, there isn't much going on. That's just because I'm using free assets. So I'm using a free CG Trader asset, the VFX and everything that is already included inside of the engine, which is very minimal. But this is what we're going to be going over and creating today. So without further ado, let me delete this code and I'll show you how I've done it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we have all of the assets in our project that we need. So if I hit control space, you can see I've got a few in here. This is essentially just a mortar body static mesh, a mortar shell static mesh, and also a target texture so we can see where it's going to be, just so the player has a chance to avoid the mortar as well. I'll leave a link in the description down below to all of these different assets that I'm using. Once you have those imported, what we want to do is we want to create our mortar weapon itself that is going to handle the shooting and predicting and everything. So what we're going to do is right click in our content browser, go to blueprint class, create an actor, and call this BP_mortar. We'll open it up straight away. In here, we're going to add in a static mesh, and we're obviously going to set this to our mortar body, like so. And then we don't need to do anything else in the viewport. We can then go straight over to the event graph, and let's delete these three nodes as we don't need them currently. And let's right click, create a custom event, and name this shoot. And out of shoot, what we're going to do is we're going to get a spawn actor from class. Now, this actor we're going to spawn in is our shell, it's our ammo. So go back into our content browser through control space, right click, go to blueprint class, create an actor, and call this BP_mortar shell. We'll open this one up straight away as well. And in here, we're going to add a static mesh, setting this to our mortar shell. Now, what I'm going to do as well is just increase the scale of this by about 5. Now, that is massive and it's not the correct scale for our mortar. However, just at the speed this is moving at and for the purpose of the fact that this is a game, I'm making it a bit bigger so it's easier to see. Because otherwise, it's very small, quite hard to see. You might like that if you want to go for a more realistic approach, but just for the purpose of this tutorial, so it's nice and easy to see, I'm going to be increasing the scale like so. We also want to make sure that we tick simulate physics on this so we can actually launch this through the air. Then I'm also going to add in a sphere collision like so. And if we reset the scale with it attached onto our static mesh, we get something like this. Now you might want to make this a little smaller so it fits a bit better around your mesh, but just make it the size you want. This is just our collision for when it is going to actually detect that it hit something. So with that as well, we also want to make sure that we search on our sphere, hit, and tick simulation generates hit events. Then we'll just double check one thing as well. If we go down to the collision, we want to make sure it is on overlap all. So that is now perfect. We can compile, save this, and go back into our BP mortar. And if we still have this selected in the content browser, we can click this little arrow for use asset browser selection, so we're setting spawn actor to our BP mortar shell. Now to determine where we want to spawn this for our spawn transform, we're going to come out of this and get a make transform. In the location, what we want to do is go back to our viewport, add a component, and add in an arrow. I'm going to name this shoot point. So this is just a reference for where we want it to spawn in, so where we want to shoot it from. So I'm going to toggle off snapping for the grid movement and rotation, so I can then move this nice and smoothly into the position and rotation that I want. The rotation doesn't matter too much, to be honest. It's just the position that you need, so you can make sure that I want it to spawn right at the end of the barrel there. Back in the event graph, we can drag in a reference to this shoot point here, and then out of this, we're going to get world location, and that return value is just going to go straight into the location of the make transform. So just wherever this actually is in the world is where we're going to spawn it. And then we also want to come out of shoot point and get world rotation. Then we're also going to right click and get actor up vector. As for this, we're going to make rot from X, and that is going to go into our rotation. And this is now going to spawn in our shell exactly where we want it to. After this, we're going to come out of the return value, and we're going to add impulse. And we want to add an impulse to our static mesh, so that is going to be the actual physical shell that we have inside the blueprint. And for the impulse of this, we want to right click in some empty space and get player character. Then out of this, we want to get actor location, get actor forward vector, and also get movement component. And out of the movement component, we want to get velocity. And using all of these, we're going to predict where the player is going to be by the time that the mortar reaches it. So to do that, we want to come out of the velocity and we want to get a multiply, changing this to be from multiplied by vector to multiply by float. I'm going to set this to 7.5. I'll explain why in a minute. As of this, we're going to get another multiply, and we want to multiply that by get actor forward vector. And then out of the get actor location, we're going to get a subtract, subtracting the multiplication we just did there. And then this return value is going to go into the impulse. What I'm also going to do is select all of these, right click and collapse to function, calling this get mortar impulse or calculate mortar impulse, whichever one makes more sense for you. And I'm going to tick pure on that as well. And now we can just place this here as we want to use this again later. If we double click this to open it up, you can see in here we just have this function working perfectly and normally like so. Now the reason why I've done multiplied by 7.5 is because that is just kind of how long it's going to take for my mortar to reach it based upon the settings I'm going to set up. If you end up changing, for example, the speed of the mortar or how high you want the arc to be, you may want to modify this value. And this is also to get it perfectly on the player. You might want it to land just in front or just behind. So just kind of mess about and play about with this value to get it perfect for you. If we go back to the event graph now, what we can do after add impulse is how we're actually going to make this look and act like a mortar. Obviously a mortar doesn't fire in a straight line, which is what this currently would do. What it would do is go up at a very steep angle, create a nice arc, and then come back down. So in order for us to predict that path, what we can do is suggest projectile velocity, and we just want the top one here, just suggest projectile velocity. You see there was moving target on there as well, but we want to have full control over all of this, so we're doing it manually. So the start location is going to simply just be get actor location, and the end location now actually wants to be our calculate mortar impulse. So what we did was we were manually calculating the impulse. However, that would just be straightforward. So now we want to do it slightly differently. We want to put it into the projectile velocity. So this add impulse, we're now going to move to be after suggest projectile velocity. And the impulse itself is now going to be the toss velocity out of suggest projectile velocity, like so. And I'll just reorganize this a little bit to make it look more organized and easier to read. Now you can see that our calculate mortar impulse could now maybe have a better name since it has a different purpose. So what we can do is actually rename this to get mortar target location. So I hope that makes sense as to why I've done it that way around. That might not feel like it makes sense as to why I just do it like this in the first place, but I'm trying to show you the different reasons of why we're doing what we're doing. So initially we were doing it manually because that was just going to be shooting like a normal gun. However, we've now changed it to actually have an arc like a mortar. So again, I'm just kind of explaining the different ways of doing things. So if you don't want this to be a mortar, you want this to just be a normal gun, for example, but with a specific target location to hit the ground, that would work. So that's why I did it the way I did it. So now what we're going to do is set the launch speed. I'm going to set mine to 3,500. Override gravity, I'm not going to do anything. Collision radius, I'll keep it as it is. And I'm going to favor high arc, as again, this is a mortar. That is typically what they'd look like. And you can also tick accept closest on those solutions if you want. What that means is essentially if the player is too far away for this launch speed to be able to reach it, it will still try and do it and it'll just basically go as far as it can. So having this unticked means the mortar has a limit, it has a range. If you tick it, it means it understands it has a range and it will fire to the maximum range if the player is out of that range. So that is just completely personal and custom up to you if you want it on or off. I'm going to tick it off so that my mortar has a nice range to it, but again, do what you want. And on add impulse, we also want to tick velocity change or vel change like so. And then this is working now. All I want to do is a nice little quality of life thing for the player and add in a mortar target location on the floor for where it's going to land so they can kind of avoid it as well. So we're going to come out of add impulse and we're going to spawn actor from class. And so now we need to create a new class. So what we're going to do is just content browser with control space, right click, blueprint class, create an actor. And I'm going to name this one BP underscore mortar target. So we'll open this up straight away. In here, we're simply just going to add in a plane, and we're going to set this material to our target we imported earlier. So I already have my material created. So what you can do is right click on your target, go to create material, open it up, and then you just want to change the blend mode to translucent gray transmittance. And then make sure you connect the alpha into the opacity override so we have a nice target with opacity behind it as well. Back in our BP mortar target, we can now set that material to the correct material on there like so. And then we're also going to add in a box collision on here too. So let's add in a box collision, just scaling that up to cover the size of our target image like this. In the event graph, we're going to right click. Then we're going to right click on our box collision, add event, add on component begin overlap. I'll delete these 3 nodes, move this up, and we're going to come out of other actor and get class all the way down at the bottom like so. And then we're going to come out of the return value and equal if this class is going to be equal to our BP mortar shell. Hold down B left click to get a branch with that being the condition. So if this isn't the mortar shell, well, we're not going to do anything off of false. True, if it is the mortar shell, we're simply just going to destroy actor. So the mortar has reached the target location, so we can now remove the target. So we compile, go to the viewport, make sure that the box collision does cover the whole target area, and it does, so that's perfect. So we can go back to BP mortar now and set the class in our spawn actor to BP mortar target. Spawn transform, we are going to make transform, and I'll move this out, and the location simply wants to just be our get mortar target location, pure function that we created earlier. And that should be it now working for us. All we need to do is call this shooting code. So what I'm going to do is hold down P left click to get event begin play, drag out of this and set timer by event, setting the event to our shoot event we've just created, ticking looping, and setting the time to how often I want this to fire off. I'm going to set it to 5 seconds. You may want to do it longer. I'm just doing it as a nice quick one for the purpose of the video. But if I compile and save this, minimize and place our BP mortar into our level, we should see this working nicely. So if I hit play, and I'm just going to eject so I can get a nice view of it like so, what we should see is that we'll get a mortar spawn in like so. It goes all the way up with a nice arch like this, comes down, you can see we have our targets here, and they have landed like so. Now, obviously, one thing we forgot to do is have the mortar despawn when it lands. Also, this mortar target you may think is quite small, so we may want to increase that as well. So let's go back into our BP mortar target first, increase the plane, let's set this to 2, for example. So let's also increase the size of our box collision as well to fit that. And I think that is now going to be a little better. If we now go to BP mortar shell, what we need to do in here is go into the event graph, delete these 3 nodes, and right click and get event hit. Out of event hit, what we want to do now is spawn system at location to get a nice Niagara VFX. I'm just going to set this to the included free simple explosion in UE5, which again isn't great, but for the purpose of the video, it gets the job done. The location is going to be hit location. And then what we can also do in here is apply radial damage. Now for me, that's not going to do anything because I've not got a health system set up and I've not got event receive any damage on my player or anything like that. But you could do, let's say, 100 damage, origin being the hit location, damage radius, let's say 500, and then you could also tick do full damage so it doesn't have a fall off to the radial damage. or don't tick it so you do have a fall off. Again, for me, that's not going to do anything, but I assume you're going to want this mortar to do damage to your player, so that's how you'd set that up. Then off of this, just simply get destroy actor. Now if we compile and we can hit play, test this again. So if I were to now eject once again so I can see this working, you can see it fires up. We have our target like so, and it's then going to come down nicely. And as it hits, it's going to remove that target and remove the actual mortar shell itself as well. So if I now go back into the player and I start to run off like this, you can see the mortar target all the way over there in the distance, and that's because by the time we've reached it, that is now going to hit and land perfectly. If we continue running, it's going to land perfectly like so. Now I actually have full-on collision in this for the player to walk into as well, and you notice the mortar shell slightly missed it. That just means we'll need to have it be a bit bigger, and the reason the camera's like this is because, again, we didn't remove any collision from the plane itself for the player. So let's go back into BP mortar target, select the plane, and all we want to do is simply just have no collision. And let's make the box a little bit bigger so we have more area for the shell to actually land into it. And then I think that'll be it for this video. So what we've done is we've created a mortar system in which it's going to shoot automatically as an AI and predict where the player is going to be. And as it shoots the mortar, it has a nice arch like this, and it's going to again have a target telling the player where it's going to shoot, and it's predicted that I'm going to be over there in the distance by the time the mortar reaches it, which is absolutely correct. So thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please do make sure to like and subscribe down below. It really does help me and the channel out a lot. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.